Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
The year is 1987, and NASA launches the last of America's deep space probes. In a freak mishap, Ranger 3 and its pilot, Captain William Buck Rogers, are blown out of their trajectory into an orbit which freezes his life support systems and returns Buck Rogers to Earth 500 years later.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? It's Tuesday afternoon, and I'm talking mid to late afternoon, and that'll give you some small indication of how my week is going. I didn't get a chance to do any taping yesterday. I barely got anything done on the shuttle at all yesterday, but what I did get done was to get a nice flat coat, a couple flat coats on everything. So we are certainly ready to start doing the weathering now. All of these decals have settled in marvelously. They look like they've always been there. Look like they were hand painted. That's how well they went on. But may or may not know, last weekend I was gone. I was up in the fatherland. I was up in the old hometown, so to speak. Drove up to Pennsylvania for a family wedding, and those are always fun. A grand time was had by all, with the exception of the second half of the trip north, which was not pleasant. I will spare you that. I have mostly blanked it out now, but it was not a pleasant trip driving that far. Trip back, much better, much better. I mean, it's a 9.5 hour trip at the best of times. So, less said about that, the better. While I was gone, a box arrived. Now, I'm one of those kids, and anybody who's been watching this channel for any length of time knows this. I'm one of those kids who used to send away for everything when I was a kid. So I grew up with a keen awareness of what was in the mail at all times, what things I was expecting, how long it was going to take to get. The dreaded phrase 6 to 8 weeks for delivery is burned into my brain. So I knew that while I was gone, I was expecting a box from Amazon, but who isn't these days? But that was it. So when my friend who was house sitting for me mentioned that there was another box here waiting for me, my curiosity was piqued, to say the least, because I had no idea what it was. And I kind of put it out of my mind because I wasn't going to let it distract me from the festivities at hand. But, thinking about it all the way home. What's in the box? What's in the box? And it wasn't anything I could think of. So when I got home, I opened the box. To my wondrous surprise, there was a nice long letter and a big heavy box from a gentleman by the name of Jim Brust. It's either Brust or Brust. Jim, I don't want to mispronounce your name, so I'm going to go with Brust, and please correct me if I'm wrong. But Jim sent me a ton of little useful stuff, and I don't mean stuff that was little useful. I mean lots of little things that each had their uses, and it caused a whirlwind. It caused you may not be able to tell from here, but it caused a massive re-clean and reorganization of just about everything that you see on camera. He sent me a bunch of stuff like this, like an organizer to put my paints in, or another organizer to put my CA in. A little wheel. You may notice I no longer have the Tupperware, or the yellow Tupperware bowl there. I've got actual tool caddies, and all of that kind of stuff. They're up in the plastic. There's another. These were all 3D printed pieces. He also sent me a variety of wiring, some Q-tips, some LEDs, just a wide, just a big box of goodies. And that's what I called it, was the box of goodies. And as I said, it caused me to do a massive clean and a reorganization here, and that took a big chunk of yesterday. So I'm finally getting back to things today. As I said, I was able to get a coat of flat on the shuttle, And I'm curious. I always like seeing what people are writing about when they write in my comments. I am presuming, I have no special knowledge of this, that for everything that I've read, the company that made the miniatures made two of these. They made two miniatures for the filming of Buck Rogers. Now, somebody commented that it was a reuse of an episode of a late season episode of Galactica, and I'm gonna I don't know if I should kind of dispute that or not, because I would really love to see the production schedule to have that verified. Here's my thinking, and I'm open to being wrong, but here's my thinking. Heartland, I believe, is the name of the company. They made two shuttles. One, I'm presuming, was the Hero shuttle with the cockpit in it that ended up in the Greg Jean collection that I have the photos of that this is based on. And the other one, I'm guessing, is the one that had the functioning lights on the back, functioning engines, because there's no reason to have both of those in the same model. You would have a beauty shot where it's the lights are lit. And in the second season of Buck Rogers, they used a version of Ranger 3 without the top fin here, that also had like the rainbow insignia and the I'll say the UN looking insignia that they adopted in the second season when they're as part of the Searcher crew and all of that. And that one, like I said, had no top fin and was painted with that rainbow. I think that all of the work that you see was done on that other shuttle. And by that I mean, I think they were both made for Buck Rogers. Now, thinking that Buck Rogers was in production about the time that Galactica was starting to wrap up, and that episode that that they reference was an experiment in Terra, which I believe was one of the final episodes when they start getting closer and closer to Earth type of thing. I think that the shuttles were made for Buck Rogers, but that one that had the lights in it was then subsequently repainted for that Galactica episode, and then repainted again for the second season Buck Rogers episode. And the only reason I say that is I don't think that, even as frugal as Larson Productions were, that they were going to use a hand-me-down ship for their hero, for the hero ship in their new series that they were just getting ready to launch with, big name stars and all of that. I think they spent their money on Buck Rogers and then they reused that. And also, since that had been repainted, then they went ahead and reused that one again for second season Buck Rogers. And the only thing that makes me say that is, also, I think that, Glenn Larson Productions, they're certainly not going to go through the trouble and expense, more importantly, the expense, of taking something like that and then repainting it back to the original Buck Rogers colors. That's what's making me say that, because the Greg Jean, the filming effects model that's in the Greg Jean auction is the authentic paint scheme from Buck Rogers. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that paint scheme had never been retouched. And there's a couple of things in the Greg Jean collection where there's a note saying, hey, Greg was in the process of refinishing this, or Greg repainted this, or, there was work done. And none of that is evident in the description for this. And also the fact that the description for this doesn't mention that it has lights in the back. So that's my own Jessica Fletcher moment, and you can either believe it or not, But that's how I'm thinking of it. That it was the other ship that was reused and chopped up and reused, but this one was untouched from the time that it was used in the pilot episode, and that it was designed for Buck Rogers, not designed for Galactica and reused in Buck Rogers. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Unless someone's got better intel, that's what I'm choosing to believe. Now, since this is Tuesday afternoon, and I finally have enough time to myself that I can sit down and do some work, I have to decide what it is the work I want to do. I want to age this. I want to do an overall spraying, and the risky thing about it is I've got to get it right the first time, because I'm spraying over decals that I cannot replace. I cannot recreate them. So any dirt or smudge or weathering that happens that overlaps these decals is going to have to be it. The first thing we would end up doing would be to smudge and score the back with a little bit of the black Tamiya like I normally use. And then I'm going to run some in the, what would be the joint here for these fins. For the, are those ailerons? I'm not sure what the fin, what the technical term for those would be. These would be these are rudder, I'm sorry. These would be rudders, if I'm not correct, but I think these would be ailerons. I'm learning slowly the terms for some of these things, but an overall dusting is what this needs, and then we'll put in some black scorage. Well, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, and we are getting down to the business of painting the weathering on the Ranger 3, and I could not find a single color, a single solution that I liked, so I had to resort to mixing something. And what I've come up with is a concoction that is partly Comart light dust for body and Mecha Weathering brown engine soot for color. And because we can only really do this once, I want to do a little bit of a practice. And the practice I've chosen is on this, it's just a white styrene ball. I could use a sheet, stock sheet, but this is the first thing I grabbed. And I've made up a mix of the color. And I'm just trying a nice light overall. And I don't know whether the overhead light is blowing that out, but it's giving me just a light brownish, sooty look, overall look. And I don't know whether I should try to wipe it off or not. I think not, because what ends up is I end up with the color being wiped off too much. So I'm going to try a pass of the lightest color, because you can always add more light passes. Once you do a really heavy pass, you're stuck trying to clean it off, and that's no bueno. And what I'd like to do, because the bottom of the kit has no decals on it, is try out everything. Now, this was like stage 1 trial. This is stage 2 trial, because in a worst case scenario, I can repaint the bottom if I need to. If I've screwed up horribly badly, I can repaint this. I can't do anything with those decals. So that's, I better have my ducks in a row before I start painting over those decals. So what I'd like to do is just do some general overall tones, and then I will take a card, just a sheet stock or an index card, and do the streaking, sort of like what I did with these black panels here. Just do that with the brown in various spots and see how I like that. And barring any horrible unforeseens, then we can carry that to the lighter portions of the ship. But I kind of want to have everything set and have a procedure and a rhythm and a workflow before I turn my attention to the irreplaceably painted parts. Okay, it is light, but it's on there. Now I've kind of did a little of both. I did some front to back streaking, and I did some dust collecting and it would be collecting on the back side of the plates. If the front side has the scorching, then the back side would have the collecting, if that makes any sense. So you wouldn't put dust the same place you would have wear. Dust happens in the absence of wear. So I'm kind of liking that. It's a nice light coat. I think I've got up enough nerve to start this on the top, and wish me luck. Doing a little stand planning, and for reference, I brought in the stand that I made for the Eagle 5. Only makes sense, Eagle 5 Ranger 3. No, it's the same stand I made for the for Lone Star's Eagle 5, and because this is similar to what I want to end up doing, so I'm just wondering if the measurements are right and everything's cool, I could just make another one. I will lift this off gently. That's what the Eagle 5 stand looked like. Now I cut that section out of the middle there for the back axle and wheels, which I don't need to do on this, so I would make that a single piece, but doesn't need to be that big. I'm kind of liking the dimensions of it. Oh, by the way, this is me painted. I have finished painting. I put all of the aging on there that I'm going to do. Going to let this dry the rest of the day and then hit it with a flat coat, and it should be done. I don't want to take the chance of scratching the weathering that I've got on there, but I do need to put the last bits in, which are the engine inserts. I weathered up the nozzles here and put some grime on the flaps, but that's going to do it. No Lone Star and barf are not the pilots here, but this is essentially all I need to have to make that base work. So yeah, I think the secret is going to be trying to find some more adhesive back black felt. For some reason, craft stores, even at Halloween, don't seem to have a lot of black felt that has an adhesive backing on it. May have to resort to going online to finding that. Also put in some more black scorches here, just a few here and there, a couple up by the nose, a couple up over the window frames, that sort of thing. But the overall dusting and tanning of this is right about where I want it to be. It's not the stark white that it used to be. It's more of a dirty warm white. But that's the thing done. So all I need to do now is go out and get the parts to make the stand, and we can put a bow on this one. Already back from lunch, and I think it's time to take this puppy outside and get a coat of clear flat on it. And while that's happening, while that's drying, I can be setting up the saw, because I went out when I was at lunch and picked up the wood that I'm going to need to make the base. Here's my handy dandy all-purpose base for the Ranger 3. Now I just need to do a little bit more sanding on this, and then I'm going to spray it with a coat of black paint. And here's the finished ship on the finished stand. Now I only have one tiny thing to do, which is to put some black felt on this and black felt on the bottom. Unfortunately, I am out of black felt, and none of the local stores have it with the adhesive backing on it anymore. So I had to order some, and it's coming down the Amazon. So I'm not going to bother to wait for that to finish up this, wrap up this video. I'm just going to say it's going to have felt on it, and that will keep the bottom of the ship from getting scratched up. Plus it will help this bottom of the stand slide around more if I put it on a glass shelf or something. But that is the wrap on Ranger 3. Hope you enjoyed this little sojourn back to the futuristic world of 1987. And we'll see you on the next build. And that's a wrap. Like I said, short and sweet. This was not a big elaborate build. It was all in the painting. So I'm glad to have gotten it knocked out and off of the shelf now. We are into the first few days of October, into spooky month. So maybe I'll pull something off of the shelf that is season appropriate, and that will be on the next episode. So until then, y'all be safe, be smart, be kind, please be kind, and be back next time.
Let's get out of here.